I spent a lot of my school time kind of messing about, really. I didn't go very often. I didn't enjoy it.
Alistair Craig left school at 16 with no real idea of what he wanted to do. But all that changed when he landed a very unusual apprenticeship.
I didn't even know that the job diamond setter existed. I just thought that stones were kind of glued in or something. They just kind of magically appeared in there. I had no idea.
But after 6 years of training, Alistair has become a virtuoso diamond setter. In the UK, most people aspire to an academic education, and vocational training is often thought second best. Students are called to morning lectures at King's College, Cambridge University. Alistair Craig takes a different route. He works at Cellini Jewellers. This morning his boss John has 2 jobs for him.
This is for the cluster rings. The sapphire and the diamonds are all here, they're weighed up.
Alice came in response to a job advertisement which we had. He mentioned that he had not got a good academic record at school, but that's not really of our concern, because at the end of the time what we need is somebody who really desperately wants to work here. What Alistair had, which we recognised, was a need to learn, and he actually was the ideal candidate in lots of ways. It's very difficult, but at the end of a 5-year period, you don't know, is he going to be a player or is he going to be a virtuoso? And he's proved for us to be a virtuoso.
So much of a virtuoso that Alistair's already been to one big awards ceremony, a world away from his experience at school.
School is a brilliant way of making subjects which I find now to be interesting, taking them and somehow sucking all the interestingness out of them and leaving them quite boring, really. So I didn't take to it.
Alistair left school with only 2 basic qualifications, GCSEs in art and English. He was unsure about his future and wasn't expecting much.
When I was at school, everybody said unless you study and everything, you're going to get bad GCSEs, which effectively means you're going to get not a very good job. You can't be expected to have finished your education and everything, be like a fully rounded package by the time you're 16, and that's it. That's as employable as you're ever going to be by the time you're 16, because you've got a load of GCSEs. You can have, all A stars and still be totally inept at pretty much every aspect of human life.
He was good at art and wondered if he could use these skills in a job.
I wanted to be a tattooist when I left school. That's what I was really interested in, because it seemed to me that you'd be paid to draw, just to draw on people. I found out later that there was more to it than that, but at the time, not having a great deal of experience and being sort of young and a bit kind of cocky, I thought, yeah, I can draw. What's to stop me drawing on people? It was just something I was interested in, basically.
Just before he left school, when he came and declared that he wanted to be a tattoo artist, that was perhaps not what I had in mind for him. And all parents have something in mind for their children. And the fact of the matter was, I couldn't see any long-term future in that. I couldn't see anything in it for him.
I just wanted Alistair to be happy and to find a role that would suit him. And to be honest, it matters not to me whether Alistair's, a refuse disposal operative or if he's Prime Minister. It matters not to me as long as it's what he wants to do. I don't mind.
He clearly had some considerable artistic skills and creative skills. Wouldn't have been fulfilled by being a tattoo artist. So, but what can you do? All you can do is to wait and to see him find himself, which is exactly what we had to do.
Well, I did the tattoo apprenticeship for a little while, but then I'd lied about my age in order to get it, and then obviously when it came time to give them my national insurance number, they kind of twigged that there's something wasn't right here, so they slung me out.
He did some sausage filling, sausage skins, he canning, making sandwiches, working really hard, really tough work actually, very badly paid, tough work.
I like the style.
And he carried on, he did it, and it was hard for him. And then one day he just was very upset. He said, "This is my life, this is how it's going to be."
Ooh.
And he's a very intelligent young man, and he found that really hard.
Just when Alistair was ready to give up, he spotted an advert in the local paper for a trainee goldsmith.
I thought, right, I've kind of seen the alternatives now, and I know that, you know, the apprenticeship system is something, you know, that's what I aimed for when I left school. It's something that I wanted to do. So I knew that I had to really throw myself into this, otherwise it was back to doing nothing again. And that's really when yeah, I started to really have a go at something productive.
Alistair didn't want to go to a further education college, the other option in the UK for learning vocationally. He knew he wanted to learn on the job.
It was hands-on, it was exciting, it was different, it was something I'd never knew anything about. You'd learn something new every single day. I remember when I went in, my journeyman, which is like the guy that teaches you, showed me how to do this certain kind of setting, and I remember thinking, he's lying to me. There's no way someone could do that. That's impossible. And then just practice, and then you can do something which you thought was impossible. You thought is just can't be done, you know. And it's a fantastic feeling to be able to, you know, it's really great to do that.
Applicants are initially taken on for a month's trial, and then they learn beside a journeyman until fully qualified after 5 years.
I thought I'd show you how to do this. I don't know if you did it before. It's just split right through. So basically I'm going to just take the rivet out, put a new one in, change the tubing, okay?
Apprentices start on $20,000 a year, just above the UK minimum wage. Once they are fully qualified, they can earn 3 times as much.
Just file it down to, there's a little step, file it down to there.
Yeah.
And I'll see how you get on with that, I'll watch you.
Okay.
So yeah, if you just do longer strokes, you cut it better and it's smoother and it's more even.
When John started the business in 1981, much of English manufacturing was disappearing and foreign imports were flooding in. Despite this and a lack of government aid, John managed to keep the traditional apprenticeship alive.
We had no support whatsoever. There were so many strings tied to funding. The funding was largely marginal, and so for that reason we'd set up our own scheme here, unaided, and it takes in people of any age, most of them fairly young, and they go through a formal scheme. At the end of that time they will become a goldsmith, mounter, diamond setter. These are centuries-old traditions, and the loss of them from person to person is a major failure.
During his apprenticeship, Alistair has been learning the ancient art of setting precious stones into jewellery of all shapes and sizes. Cellini is bringing this art into the 21st century with the use of a new computer design system. Customers can now see the finished item before it's even been made.
Well, the first stage is a design stage which is done on a computer, which is then the design is given to the goldsmith, and he makes the ring, and the ring's given to a setter, and he sets the ring, and then he polishes it and cleans it, and then given to someone else, and they sell it basically. So.
I'll pay for those. My daughter's got some bits. Yeah, lovely.
This is the best bit about being a jeweller, because you get to see your pieces in the cabinet and everything. Because when you're working on them, you have no idea how much they're worth, or anything like this. And then all of a sudden you come here and you're like, wow, that was actually someone actually wants that for a lot of money. So these are some of the rings which I've had to set, and this one was very difficult. I had to use a microscope and everything. And this one I think looks nice, which I had to set. is more aesthetically pleasing than the other one.
It takes up to 10 years to train a setter to the highest level, and within 2 years of his apprenticeship, Alistair was already producing work of a commercial standard. John felt Alistair's progress deserved recognition.
We saw an advertisement in the Sunday Times which was asking for nominations for those people working and learning in the workplace, and we decided that we would nominate Alistair because he was outstanding, because he really was outstanding.
And I was kind of shown interest not only in, you know, seeing, you know, doing the setting side, but also the kind of making and the designing and things like that, which I've kind of taken interest in myself. They hadn't asked me to do it, and John just said that he wanted to enter me for the competition.
I wrote his entry, sent it in, heard very little, and we were eventually asked to an awards ceremony at the Roundhouse in London, and it went from there, really.
It was a big, glitzy event. Both John and Alistair attended. We find out in part 2 how he got on and how the apprenticeship really has changed his life. Alistair Craig is a diamond setter at Cellini Jewellers in Cambridge. His route into the working world hasn't been easy. He left school at 16 with little prospects and low confidence. At 6 years on, he's an accomplished goldsmith. So much so that his boss John decided to propose him for an award from Edge, an educational foundation which holds an annual competition encouraging apprenticeships.
We were invited to the Edge Awards at the Roundhouse, a very glamorous affair. And a team of us went down along with Alistair, who was the applicant. And there were a number of categories which were awarded.
Now, I think in true show business style, we can now have a big round of applause for the individual learner winner for the East of England, Alistair Craig.
Alistair has done it. He's won the Regional Learner Award and is now in the running for the main prize of the evening, National Apprentice of the Year.
At the end, the presenter said, "This is the Young Learner of the Year." And I have to say, it's a gem of a job. And I leaned across the table and said to Alistair, "You've won it." And he did, which was wonderful.
I told you this job was a gem. The winner, of course, is from Cellini Pearls, Alistair Craig.
I think surprise was really the main thing, because you always kind of imagine people that win awards as being these kind of like, I don't know, really, it's hard to explain, really sort of fantastic. I don't know, they've got kind of like blonde flowing locks or something and a shirt that's a bit open and kind of run around doing everything really well. And then, like, you know, and I won it, and I was just kind of like a dribbling half-wit, really. it was just kind of, yeah, it was just very surprising. It didn't make a lot of sense to me at first. But
You get to take that home and everything. It's brilliant. Well done, Alistair.
He was just fantastic then. He went up and accepted the original award, and then when we discovered that there was a chance that there was another award at the end of it, and he won that too, it was just fantastic. Really good.
I had to ring him up to find out how it went, and he said, "Oh yeah, it was good. Yeah, I had a good day." And I said, "And you know, how did it go? And did you know who won?" Yeah, it was fine. It was me." And I was kind of, "It was you." So very pleased with him. I was over the moon. "Yeah, well, you know, it's fine. Yeah, it was good. Yeah." but he didn't make a big fuss about it at all. I was jumping up and down at the end of the phone.
The $14,000 award went into further training for Alistair and for the new apprentices. John is in no doubt what is needed to keep skilled industries alive.
I think, first of all, there has to be apprenticeships. And so for that reason, it is up to management and companies to wholeheartedly set up schemes like this. They will find them expensive and they will find them in times arduous, but at the end of the time they're offering somebody a set of skills which they will be able to use for the rest of their lives. And in a world that is changing, these are the skills that we're still needing.
John recognised the need to retain the high-quality skills in his workshop. The passing on of knowledge is vital to this process, and Alistair still gets help when he needs it.
I have a problem with my jigsaw hand.
Is you're going to have to cut further into this claw this side, and you're going to have to hammer down on the top to spread that over.
Wow, you're a genius.
Some education experts say not enough businesses are training people on the job. So what can the British government do to improve this?
By making it much easier for employers to take on apprentices. Take someone like Alistair's employer. He was willing to do it without government help because he was so desperate. Lots of other employers would love to take on apprentices, but they don't do so because in order to get the money that in theory they can, they have to jump through so many bureaucratic hoops that they just walk away.
Further education colleges like this one in Chichester, southern England, offer students a variety of vocational courses. But without more work placements available, these skills may go to waste. The minister responsible says the government will do more to encourage businesses to offer apprenticeships.
In the end, if vocational training is going to work, it's got to be because employers are motivated to take part. And we will do all we can to strip away any unnecessary bureaucracy to make that happen.
But Alison Wolfe wonders if the government really is willing to pay the price for a vocational system that works. She feels the priority will remain academic learning and universities.
If the government seriously wants to improve vocational education, it needs to do two things. It needs to spend more and it needs to back off. Now, that sounds strange. Everyone will scream accountability, accountability. All I can say is in the universities, they do spend and they do back off, and we have a world-beating university sector, which is contributing a lot to the economy. If they took that model for vocational education, if the government spent more on it, was more egalitarian in how it treats young people, and let the employers and the industries genuinely drive vocational education and practical skills, we'd do a whole lot better.
Cheers.
For Alistair, being an apprentice has been the best way to learn. Tonight he's out celebrating his birthday with friends. Cellini really has given him the direction and confidence that school didn't. He's now come back to the classroom to study creative writing.
It was almost like education opening out, I think, if you like. Or the world was suddenly open when it hadn't been after school. So it was wonderful. And he said, I think I want to go to university. So it was kind of, oh, okay, you've just completed 5 years apprenticeship, you want to go to university? Right. So we had a discussion about whether he was going to be a jeweller who was going to university or whether he was going to be a writer. And he thought realistically he would be a jeweller who's gone to university and then just see where he goes.
I don't think I would have had the confidence to go to university unless I'd done something like go to Cellini's. I felt that English was something which I was always interested in, but which I came to after I left school, really, like literature and like books and stuff. I was, at school it was kind of, no, I don't want anything to do with it, not interested. Whereas when I left, I became more and more interested in reading and stuff, and I thought this would be something I'd quite like to have a go at, but if I don't do it now, then I'm never going to be able to do it, and I'll look back and think, oh, that was a shame. I could have done something like that.
Cellini had been very generous and said he can work with them in the holidays too, so he's got all that, so he can partly fund himself too, which is brilliant. So none of these skills are going to be wasted, and he's just adding on. And so he's started in September and appears to be doing really well. So fingers crossed. It looks great. Very proud of him.
Come on.
Without the experience of being an apprentice, the door to university would never have been opened for Alistair or anyone else with so few academic qualifications.
Considering the drawbacks that he's had in his education and the way that he really didn't get on well, to even consider, never mind to apply for a university, was something which is a huge I believe, indication of the fact that the way that he did this has been absolutely dead right, and one which has been perfect for him through the vocational route.
Roxy.
John supports Alistair's decision to go to university.
See you in the morning. See you in the morning. Good night, John.
He's had 6 good years with him and is pleased he will continue to work as a goldsmith part-time.
Alistair will always be a diamond setter. I think Alistair will do other things in his life, but he will always have those skills at his fingertips, and he will always be able to earn a very comfortable living.
I'm sure that there are people that go through school and are taught by people who they really respect, and that's how that works for them, but that's not how it was working for me. I didn't respect a lot of my teachers. I didn't have a lot of time for what they had to say. But then to see someone that can do something with their hands, and something which you thought was just impossible, and is prepared to teach you how to do it, as long as you're prepared to learn, then you have to become prepared to learn in order to get what you want.